Hello, Accelerated Math students. Welcome back to Module 11, Geometry, and this is Lesson 14, and it is called Volume. Our goal for today we will learn how to find the volume of a right prism by using the area of the base of the prism. The question that I want you to think about during this lesson is, what can you do to a base that is not a rectangle or a triangle to find the area of the base? Okay. What can you do to a base that is not a rectangle or a triangle to find the area of the base? All right, so things to remember. There are some important things to remember when figuring out volume, and we're going to go over that. Volume is the amount of space that is inside a three-dimensional figure, just like we saw in the bird's eye view lesson. It is determined by taking the area of the base, and multiplying it by the height of the figure. Okay, and we're talking about area of the base just like we did a couple of lessons ago, that when you're trying to find the base of something, you need to realize that that base is its area first, and then you multiply it by the height, which means how long the figure is. Okay, remember that the capital B reminds you that you must determine the area of the base first. So whenever we see this formula, that big B means I'm finding the area of the original base, and the height just means how long that base was repeated. I like to think about it like a loaf of bread. If you think about a loaf of bread, it's a three-dimensional figure, right? It's usually, here's your loaf of bread that looks like this. So that's the piece of bread, right? So when you're trying to figure out what the area of a loaf of bread is, you just take one slice and then you multiply it by how long, right, the actual loaf is, right? So that's what helps us figure out the area of the base. So you find the area of just this piece of this one slice, and then you multiply it by how many slices are in the package. So that's another way to help you remember it. All right, so the first thing that I like to do when I'm trying to find volume is I have to figure out what the base is. If this is my figure, the base for this one would be a circle, okay? So I have to find the area of a circle, and if I remember the area of a circle, it is pi times radius squared, right? Which another way to remember it is pi times radius, okay? So I have that. Then, once I figure out what the area of the base is, then I have to multiply it by the height, okay? So if this is a can of soup, I have to find the area of this circle first. It's telling me that the radius is 5 centimeters, so I have to take pi times 5 times 5, okay? So then I know that this automatically right here is 25 pi, right? And then it says find the area of the base and then multiply it by the height. So then I have to take all of that and I have to multiply it by 10 because 10 is the height, and so 25 times 10 is 250. So I could say the volume of this can is going to be 250 pi centimeters cubed. And the reason that I know it's cubed is because I took the area of the base, which finding area of the base has 2 dimensions, and I multiplied it by one more dimension, so there are a total of 3 dimensions being multiplied. So that's how I know that volume is always cubed. So 250 pi centimeters cubed. Now you could go ahead on your calculator and push the pi button, or you could go ahead and just do 250 times 3.14 because that's what we all know could count as pi. So let's go ahead and do that, see if I can quickly do the math without making any errors because I'm going fast. So 0, 15, 7, now if I could see it. So that would be 0, that would be 0, that would be 5, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 is here, and then I have a 7 there, and I have 2 decimal points. So we could also say that it's 785 centimeters cubed. It could also be the answer all the way out. Okay, so that wasn't too bad, right? So now I have another one for you to try, and this one really is, let me check on the back, nope, nothing else. So this one is a challenge. What they want us to figure out on this one is what is the volume of this triangular prism, but there's a middle section missing, so it's been drilled out. So basically you have to find the volume for both of them and then subtract it off. So again, talking about how we find that, you're going to take the area of the base times the height to find the volume, right? So the area of the base, well, the base is the triangle. So how do we find the area of a triangle? the area of the triangle would be taking half of the base times the height, and this is a little b, so we have to talk about this. And so if we're looking at it, we can say that this is the base here, so that's 1.5, right? So 1.5 times the height is 4, right? And then we have to multiply that by 1/2. Well, I know 1.5 is really 3/2 times 4 over 1 times 1 over 2, right? So I would get 12 on the top, and I would get 4 on the bottom, which simplifies to 3. So I now know that the area of the base of the triangle is 3 centimeters squared. That's what I found for that one. So that's that triangle right there. Then I'm supposed to multiply that by the height of it, which is 4.5. So now I'm going to take 3 times 4.5, which is actually 9/2. So I would do times 4 1/2, right? So then I get 3 over 1 times 9 over 2, which gives me 27/2, right? So that right there is centimeters cubed. So that is the volume right there for the big one. Now I have to do the area of the little one, right? So I'm going to take area of a triangle for the little one. So I have 1/2 times base times height. So the base on this one is, oh, you know what? I did that wrong. I said this was 1.5 and it was actually 3. You know what? I did this for the little one. Okay, we'll just go ahead and switch that up and say, oh, no, that won't work. So this is actually a 2. Yeah, okay. So I did the dimensions wrong. So that would actually be 6/4. So 6/4 is the same as 1.5. Nope. 6 divided by 4. Sorry, guys. That goes in one time. 4 minus 2. Yeah. 1.5. So that would be 1.5. Sorry. So 1.5. 1.5 times 4.5. So this would actually be here. So 1.5. So 27/4. There we go. Now I got it fixed. Okay. So this is actually the volume for the little guy. Okay. So that's not too hard. Okay. So now 1/2 times 3 over 1 times 4 over 1, because there's the base of the big guy. This is the height of the big guy. Okay, now we're back on track. So then that would be 12/2, which is really 6. So now I have 6 centimeters squared, but then I have to multiply that by 4.5. So now I have 6 over 1 times 9/2, which equals 54/2. So now I have 27 27/4 is the little guy, and 54/2 is the big guy, and we've got to subtract them off. So if I do that, I want a common denominator, so let's put that into fourths. So that would be 8, and that would be 10. So now I'm going to do 108/4 minus 27/4, because it's subtracted off. It's not there. So I'm going to say, focusing on these guys, 8 minus 7 is 1, and 10 minus 2 is 8. So that's 81/4. And then I can simplify that to 20 1/4 centimeters cubed should be the volume for this shape right here. Okay? So if I lost you, I apologize for mixing up on this one spot right here. This is the length and the width, or the base and the height right there. And then times 1/2 or divided by 2. So that would have been 1 times 3 times 2 is 6, divided by 4, came out to 1.5. Then you take 1.5 times 9/2, and you get 27/4. So that's the volume of the little guy. And then the volume of the big guy, and then subtract them off, and you should have gotten 20 1/4 centimeters cubed. Okay? All right, so that wasn't so horrible. It's basically, a lot of this math with volume is just remembering how to plug everything in and keep track of it. That's the hardest part. Okay, so today we will learn how to find the volume of a right prism by using the area of the base of the prism, which we did. What can you do to a base that is not a rectangle or a triangle to find the area of the base? First off, I would say use a formula if there is one. And then second off, if it's a shape that isn't a rectangular or a triangle, I would turn it into as many rectangles and triangles that I could, because those are the two easiest shapes to find the area for. All right, kiddos, that's all I have for you in today's lesson. Talk to you soon. Bye.